starting to lose count of how many times judges are changing up in all of these different cases I'm tracking. Good morning, Springfield's Morning News on 92.7 WMAY, Springfield's News and Talk, and the latest in litigation against Illinois' gun and magazine ban and other Illinois gun laws. Well, you've got the Myers v. Kelly case challenging the FOID card and also the venue limiting law that restricts where people can challenge laws of the state of Illinois to only Sangamon or Cook County. That case brought by attorney Thomas Magg had yet another judge change. We'll touch on that, but I know a lot of people still wanting to know what's going on in the Seventh Circuit Court of Appeals. So no update on that case challenging Illinois' gun and magazine ban on Second Amendment grounds. And if you look at the docket, the last thing was August 14th, so over 2 weeks ago, when they had some filings back and forth concerning the case out of Hawaii and saying, hey, we have to consider this case out of Hawaii that ultimately said butterfly knife bans are unconstitutional, despite the argument being that they are dangerous and unusual. So interesting to see that we're still waiting. All right, I know people are losing their patience with the appeals court on what exactly is the timeline for them to release a ruling so it can get sent to the Supreme Court. But that's on the Second Amendment challenge, that the gun and magazine ban violates the right to keep and bear arms. That's the charge that these plaintiffs groups from Southern District of Illinois and the Northern District of Illinois have in front of the appeals court. So still waiting on any kind of resolution there. But then you have the other case that is part of that down in the Southern District, and that's brought by Thomas Magg. And it's a case that originally started in Crawford County, but then it was transferred to federal court and then lumped in with all kinds of other cases in the Southern District where Judge Stephen McGlynn had the case, and he ultimately declared a preliminary injunction that lasted for 6 days. We know this history. We've been going over the history, but just so everybody understands, that Second Amendment challenge, that preliminary injunction was issued for only 6 days worth, up now in the appeals court. That's what's still pending, the Second Amendment challenge. But Thomas Magg has his vagueness challenge in front of the Southern District Judge, Stephen McGlynn. That's going to be October 11th. I've got that date circled on my calendar in the Southern District, East St. Louis Court. They'll have a hearing on a preliminary not a preliminary, a summary judgment hearing. So for those of you, who know legal terms, this is going to kind of be rudimentary, but for others out there who've been tracking this and you're not necessarily as plugged in, listen, I get paid to watch this stuff and to break it down and to focus on it all day. I understand you guys out there are looking for some quick answers and ways to get on with your day so you can bring home the bacon, right? And take care of your family and enjoy life. Because it's a wonderful gift that we have, and we have to enjoy every moment, right? But you also have to keep abreast to what's going on. So preliminary injunction is an initial phase. It's not on the merits, all right? It's not on the actual question. And that's what happened in the Southern District, a preliminary injunction. It's like a temporary restraining order out of state court, but in federal court, it's a preliminary injunction. So that's what went up to the appeals court on the Second Amendment question. Back down in the Southern District, you've got a different argument being raised by Thomas Magg of the vagueness of the law and saying that it's too vague to enforce, therefore it's unconstitutional. So there's a hearing October 11th for summary judgment, which could mean that the law is partially struck down if the judge agrees with Thomas Magg. So that, again, is October 11th, a summary judgment hearing in federal court against the gun and magazine ban, and we'll be watching to see what happens there. So that's the case challenging the state's gun and magazine ban. But in the other case that Thomas Magg has, he brought a case challenging the FOID card, and this was also filed in state court initially, but then it was transferred to federal court. And we had some movement this week. If you look at the docket, it's rather fascinating, again, just to kind of see where we've come from this time. If you look at the docket, even just this week, you had, the attorney file a notice of consent or non-consent for a magistrate judge. And that was earlier this week. And then you had one judge changed, went from, Mark Beatty, no longer there. And then it was going to be Rena Daly. She no longer was assigned to the case. And then you had another judge change where assignment error by clerk. And then it looks like Magistrate Judge Beatty's no longer assigned to the case, being replaced by Judge Gilbert. So we reported that out, that Judge Gilbert, and this was on the 30th, all right? So 2 days ago, Judge Gilbert was taking over the case. But then when I posted this in particular, you've got somebody who reached out via Twitter and ultimately said that this case that Gilbert's taking, he was involved in an ethics complaint previously, and he's on the board of SIU, so he's stated he will recuse himself from any cases where the state is involved. So kind of doing some crowdsourcing here on Twitter. So you had Gilbert's question as to whether he's appropriately on the case. So you look back at the docket for the Myers v. Kelly case down in the Southern District, and yesterday there was another judge change. So Judge David Dugan is now the judge in that case that MAG has, challenging the FOID card. Judge Gilbert no longer assigned. And again, if you look at some of the response here, you can even see a case study of Gilbert and a complaint that was filed about possible conflicts of interest. So a judge changed there in the Myers v. Kelly case. Now Judge Gilbert no longer. You've got Judge David Dugan. Who's Judge David Dugan? Well, let's go and check out President Non-FUD on Twitter, who apparently, by the way, Twitter told me it's their birthday today, so look at that. So President Non-FUD, if you don't follow him, he does some good independent research of a lot of different things and does deep dives, and he found that this particular judge, Dugan, appointed by Trump, and the anti-gunners hate him because he's an NRA member. Remember that Illinois Supreme Court Justice Rochford, as a justice, lobbied or at a minimum attended a lobbying event with Moms Demand Action to push the very law she refused to recuse on. So no BS about recusal on this, anti-gunners. And they shared a couple of different images, including one that shows that he was indeed appointed by Trump, a Wikipedia entry, and then a message from the Leadership Conference on Civil and Human Rights saying that in addition, Mr. Dugan is a longtime member of the National Rifle Association, quote, the extremist advocacy organization that has engaged in decades in massive lobbying campaigns to oppose common sense gun safety laws, this particular group said of Dugan. So interesting to see that. Again, I'm kind of losing track of what judges are following what, but there's a lot of different cases to track here, and of course, we're doing what we can to keep you updated on the very latest, all right? It is Springfield's Morning News on 92.7 WMAY, Springfield's News and Talk, and tons more coming up, all right? Follow me anywhere, search Bishop on Air, Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, watch the live stream, like, subscribe, share it up with your friends. Just search Bishop on Air.